Hey guys, Jamiy, and today on Roblox we're playing some more Loomian Legacy, as you can see on the screen right now. So today I'm going to go over all of the new balance changes that were introduced to the game also last night, at least as I'm on the video here. So also in this video I'm going to go through all of the balance changes. I'm going to go over some bug fixes that weren't actually on the list for the balance changes. Some bugs that didn't get fixed, and also a mechanic that also people have been waiting for that we didn't do, but we'll probably do it a later date. So with that being said, let's just jump straight into the video then. Okay, and so first thing off, I think we should talk about the Levitate also. A lot of people have been wondering, where is Levitate? Why isn't Levitate in the game? Levitate is not going to be in the game as of right now. We are going to also still go over it, and we will eventually introduce Levitate. A lot of the community kind of didn't really want it in the game right now, because also a good counter for a lot of the earth types, because right now earth types are freaking powerful, probably the most powerful type in the game right now. It's like Stratosaur, and if Stratosaur loses its immunity to earth type moves, is gonna be kind of difficult to take out the earth types, at least right now. So for right now we're gonna hold back off it, and also there was still a lot of things that we need to work around, like also getting an icon made, so also you could tell if this Loomian actually does levitate or not. Also then going over all of the Loomians, okay, this Loomian's gonna get levitate, this Loomian isn't gonna get it. Also going over all of that and all of the moves, okay, this move shouldn't hit Loomians that are gonna levitate, these moves should hit them if they are levitating. So right now it's just like a thing that we're going to do in the future, and before we just put it on pause for now, and we'll introduce it at a later date. Okay, and so next up, I guess we'll talk about some of the bug fixes that also weren't mentioned on any of the lists, because they're not balance changes, they're just fixes. So also I guess we'll talk about the moves first, also making contact, or moves not making contact when they should. So those are being fixed now. I don't think there's any in the game. Also, if you find any moves that are making contact that shouldn't be, or moves that aren't making contact that you think should be making contact, also them in the comments down below, just message me. I will stay low on that one. I think they're all being fixed, although there is one which is Bushwhack. That one, it is a melee move, and some people thought that, oh, it's a bug, it's not making contact. That one isn't meant to be making contact. That was up to T-Bread, and he says that, oh, that one isn't actually meant to be making contact. Other than those moves, though, we now have fixes for Slick Shell and Tank, also the abilities of Diaborg, Mutagon, and the secret ability of Terraclaw. They've now been fixed also for Tank. They partially worked, only for the melee defense. If it took a range hit when Tank was up, it just didn't do anything, and for Slick Shell, it literally just didn't do anything. Those have now been fixed, which actually speak about all the bug fixes, as actually all of the ones that have been fixed. Although I'm going to talk about Stratosaur. Stratosaur was not fixed. I kind of forgot about it. I'm not going to lie, in the last minute, I just kind of realized it as the update went out. But right now, Stratosaur's secret ability, Toxic Filter, does work partially. Right now, I think that there's some toxic moves that don't get absorbed, and I think it might just be Poison Barbs. I'm not exactly too sure which ones aren't being affected by it, but I think it's just Poison Barbs right now. That'll also get fixed at a later date. And with that being said, that's basically all of the bug fixes, so I guess we'll just jump into the actual balance changes now. Okay, and so going into the balance changes, I want to talk about the sleep one first, because I feel like most people will be confused about that one. So sleep has been changed slightly. It still basically functions the same, although there's an added effect also to try and nerf the sleep stats a little bit, because it also is kind of annoying getting put to sleep, and you're asleep for a random amount of turns, and you have no idea when you're going to wake up. So we have changed it a little bit. So now it basically works the exact same as it did before, although now, let's say for example, you are on a 100 health. So let's say you've taken damage, you're on 100 health, and then you get put to sleep. So you'll stay asleep like normal, but if you lose 1/3 of your health as when you're put to sleep, so also in this case, we have 100 health. Let's say for example, using a Dusket, he has 150 health. We get chipped down a little bit, we're on 100 health, and then we get to put to sleep. If we lose 1/3 of our health, so we go down to I think it's 66 or 67 health, we will instantly wake up as soon as we lose 1/3 of our health. So it's like a slight nerf to the sleep status. Although this also won't affect if you are self-inflicting your sleep. So for example, Obsidian Beast Slumber won't have this instantly wake it up, because also that would suck if you try to get more health. So it doesn't work for Beast Slumber. Also right now it's the only self-inflicted sleep status I believe right now. So also in future that will also occur if it is self-inflicted. So yeah, that's the sleep then. Okay then, so let's talk about the items then next. So originally there were 3 items that were planned to get buffed. 2 of them have been scratched because also the Sephiroth meta things are really stally and really bulky. I'm looking at Sedimar specifically here right now. That Sedimar is so unbelievably tanky. We decided, yeah, the heavy items, the heavy armor, and the heavy shield do not need a buff in any right. We are originally going to buff them from 20 to 30%, also for their defenses be a little bit better. Also, having a look at this metagame right now, clearly Stall does not need any more like helping hands, okay? It's already really good. Other than that though, there is still one item that is getting a buff, which is the Energy Orb. Originally, it only reduced your move's energy cost by 10%. Now it does 25%, and that's the change. Very nice. So yeah, that's actually gonna be really good on like things like the Utility Noodle. Also, especially right now, like Ancient Raw also getting like a good buff. It's going to also help out stuff like that. Also, it's making moves a lot cheaper. Also, ones being super expensive. So yeah, definitely going to be a good item for some Loomians to run. Okay, and now we'll talk about the Loomian. Also, there's been one Loomian that got a stat change, which is Volca lower. It had its range attack decreased from 55 to 20, and it's had its defenses slightly increased. It's not really going to help Volca too much. Volca is still going to be trash, except from like kind of just dealing with Chartika if it's not running Mug Blast, so some Chartika still beat it, but it's not really going to help Volca out too much. It's just mostly making it so not everything can potentially one-shot it. Now it can actually potentially take a hit. Also, Volca is not really going to improve too much from this. We're mostly waiting for like better fire type moves also for Volca to potentially mean with its volcanic ability. That's kind of what I'm hoping for, honestly, is going to happen whenever we get a really strong fire move. So yeah, Volca low. People have been wanting like an update like this. This is going to help it a little bit, but not too much, okay? But yeah, that is the only Loomian that got a stat change. Okay, then, so now let's talk about abilities then, which some of them are just reverts also from the Mastery Totem Rallying kind of update that we did also a while ago. If kind of like feared things might do too much damage, so we kind of nerfed some abilities back a little bit. Also, it's the complete opposite right now. Things aren't hitting hard enough, especially for like Sedimars and stuff, so hopefully this might help it out a little bit for the specific metagame. Also, that includes like Awakening. The starter's normal abilities was reduced to 40%. They are now back up to 50% damage increase. Brute Force is reverted back to 30% from 20%. And Tone Deaf, which also is the secret ability for Muchun, has been reverted back to 20% from 10%. And also along that, Overshadow and Illuminate, Umbra and Luxor's secret ability was 10%, it has been buffed to 20%, and also these two abilities are getting an extra effect to bypass Total Eclipse. Although it's a little bit weird, if you're using it for the first time again, you might get a little confused. Only moves that are affected by the ability are actually going to bypass it. So let's say I'm going to take Overshadow and Umbra for example. If Umbra uses a Quick Pounce or a Raging Howl or a Typeless type move that also gets changed into a Dark type move by Overshadow, that move will bypass Total Eclipse, not already existing Dark type moves like Gloomfangs for example. So if Umbra uses Gloomfangs on a Eclipse, it will still absorb it if it has a Total Eclipse, and also if Umbra uses Raging Tackle, that is originally a typeless move that gets changed into a Dark type move, and then on top of that gets a damage increase bonus, that will bypass Total Eclipse. So yeah, same for Luxor. Also, Luminous Raw will not bypass Total Eclipse, but its typeless moves like Raging Camel will. So yeah, just thought I'd mention that one. All in that low, Staunch got a buff, also secret ability for Himber, and another Loomian, I think it's Tyrex, has it potentially. I don't think people are really going to use this one still. I feel like there's still just better alternatives, but basically it works the exact same. Also, if you don't know what it does, basically, if a Loomian tries to lower your stats, it just fails. That's basically all it does. We basically left it the same, but we've added, right now it only affects one move in the game, but I'm sure in future it will affect more. But right now it only affects Ancient Raw, so if a move like Ancient Raw is to be used, it will just completely fail rather than just lowering your stats, because also before this update, if Azulong used Ancient Raw, it wouldn't lower a Loomian if they had Staunch, but Zulong will still be able to swap out. That is no longer the case. If Zulong uses Ancient Raw, it will just completely fail and it will not swap out, and it will not lower the Loomian stats. Also, I will quickly mention this as well. This doesn't apply to Flash and Flee. Flash and Flee doesn't lower stats. Flash and Flee deals damage and then swaps out, so it's a different case. So yeah, it might help it out a little bit, but I feel like people are going to run Staunch still. It's not really that great still, but it's a small little buff, okay. All on that, we'll talk about Parting Gift. The Parting Gift has had its minimum damage increase, so beforehand it would only do, like, it's random damage up to half. but the lowest damage was 1/16, and also that's like completely trash. I mean, I guess it might break a sturdy, and that's about it. So yeah, that's getting buffed. It's been doubled, so now the lowest it can do is 2/16, which is still low, but I don't want to increase it too much. Also, then it's like, I don't want people to like rely on it too much, but I feel like it should get a buff. So I'm going to try this one out, 2/16, that's like 1/8, so I mean, hopefully it does a little bit better. I mean, we'll have to see, but I mean, Ice Skull still probably isn't really going to like be used that much, but we'll see, okay. All on that, I guess we'll actually talk about the big boys that got changed, which are some of my favorites, which are going to make some very fun new Loomians to be used. Also, we're going to talk about Vengeance first, which also is Revenine's secret ability. I don't think anything else has it right now. Basically, if you don't know what Vengeance did, it only worked in doubles or 2v2s. It didn't work in solos, unfortunately. So also, if you use it in doubles, let's say, for example, you have a Dusky and a Revenine. If the Dusky faints on the very next turn, Revenine, no matter what move you click, will do double damage. And it only worked in doubles. If you use it in singles, so let's say, for example, I had my Dusky out, it fainted, and then I went into Revenine, it wouldn't do anything. The builds just didn't work in singles. Now it does work in singles, so if your Dusky faints, or for example, the Dusky faints, and then I bring in my Revenine in the solo battle, it'll do double damage. So that is going to work really freaking good, so can't wait for Revenine to be used, because that is a hard hitter, a really hard hitter. Like, I don't think anything in the game right now can like reliably take a lot of the hits, because also, I mean, it is a pretty good typing, Spirit and Fire, and also it has Dark type as well, so I mean, even Loomian Army is scared of like a Mega Chomp, so that's going to be pretty good for that one as well. Along that low, we have Curse Contact, which is Permind and Ferroglyph. Let's be honest, only Permind really uses it low. It was kind of trash beforehand. Basically, how it worked before was that if a Loomian made contact with something with Contact Curse, they would lose 1/16 of their energy, and that was it. We've buffed it now, so if a Loomian makes contact with a Loomian with Contact Curse, they will lose an extra 50% on top of what the move that they just used was. So let's say, for example, they use a move that was 30 energy. It will cost them 45 if they make contact with this Loomian. So it's kind of helping out a little bit. I don't know if people are going to use it really too much. I feel like Permind's not really going to be using it that much, so hopefully something else in the future might get this one. And for the last one, I said the best for last, okay, at least in my opinion, is Ability Thief. It got updated. Also, if you don't know what Ability Thief did, only Ragoon has it right now as a secret ability, and beforehand, it just kind of copied the Loomian's ability that it made contact with. If it made contact with something, it would just copy its ability, and that was basically it. If Ragoon swapped out and back in, it lost it, you had to try and take another one. Now we've updated it, so it will permanently steal rather than copying. So let's say, for example, my Ragoon's on the field, I'm against a Tatab. If I click a move that makes contact with Tatab, like Slap Down, I'm going to take Awakening, and that Tatab will no longer have Awakening, it will have a blank ability, which doesn't do anything. So then if the Tatab swaps out and then back in, Tatab will no longer have Awakening, it will just have a blank ability. Although if Ragoon swaps out and back in, it will now keep Awakening for the rest of the battle. So once the battle is over, it'll go back to normal, Tatab will have Awakening again, and Ragoon will have its Ability Thief again. This is also going to be really, really strong in conjunction with Ragoon, because it also Ragoon only has it, but also Ragoon has Chase Down, which has now been fixed as well. Chase Down will steal abilities if the Loomian is swapping out. With that being said, that's all of the abilities. I don't think any of them are like broken. Also, like Ability Thief and Vengeance are really, really good changes, but I don't think they're going to make Loomians busted, because also like Revenine's super frail, Ragoon's not like super amazing. It still depends like what ability you can steal with Ragoon, so you still have to be like kind of careful with it. So yeah, on that low, I guess next up we'll go with the moves. Okay then, so for the moves then, I guess we'll start off with Hypnotize, because we talked about the sleep earlier. Hypnotize will no longer affect Mind type Loomian, so if it's a Sorcerer, Hypnotize isn't going to work. If it's a Dusky, not going to work. Permind or Ferroglyph, not going to work. Easy peasy. Also, it makes sense for this one. For example, Snorspores, what Cinemoth has, is basically the exact same thing but plant. Snorspores is a plant type move. Plant type Loomians are immune to it. Basically the same thing for Hypnotize, so hopefully it like nerfs this. Hopefully that's enough to nerf sleep for now. Hopefully it's still not super strong, but also still like usable. So yeah, but also that is Hypnotize. Next up, we'll talk about Chase Down, which has had its energy nerfed from 25 to 30, but also before this update, it's 40 base power. If it uses a move and then something swaps out, let's say for example Ursol and a Tatab, if my Ursol clicks chase down and the Tatab swaps out, instead of only doing 40 damage, it will do 80. We've actually completely removed that from chase down. It will still hit them if they swap out, but it will still only do 40. Right now, chase down is just such a potent move. It's just, if you have a plant type right now for like chase down, you can't do anything. Like if you have a gas stroke, unlike Tatab, they just can't really hit anything that has chase down. Like mostly that's using it is like Ursol. So I think this should be fine. It might get that reverted later in the game, but for right now, it's just too broken, to be honest. It's just really difficult to overcome that move, unfortunately. Other than that though, we have Impersonate, which also is an Icicle signature move right now. Also beforehand, it'll just copy move and give it +1 priority. That was it. Now it does the exact same, but it increases that move by 50% as well. Hopefully that isn't too much. I don't think it will be too much. If it's like stab and that bonus, I mean that's going to also hit pretty hard as well. But if it's not originally stab, I don't think it's going to increase it too much. That's basically like an awakening buff, so gotta keep our fingers crossed. But no one really uses Icicle, so I can't really say it's being too much of a huge difference, but a still good difference nevertheless. Next up is Oppress, also right now Dusket's move. We reverted it back to its 2x damage increase if the opponent has a status. So we did nerf it because, again, kind of scared that Dusket would do too much damage. With also the sleep nerf, I feel like this is completely fine now. So if Dusket has, I don't know, like put something to sleep, it will do 2x, Oppress will do 2x damage. So instead of doing 65, it'll do 130. And also, if you can bind that with Dusket's secret ability, it'll do an extra 20%. I mean, also that's going to do a lot of damage, but also like you have to meet specific criteria for it. So I think it's still fine. Duskет isn't like super strong, it's kind of frail, especially being like quad weak to spirit. I don't think it's going to be too strong, but also that's a pretty good buff back up to Oppress because it wasn't really necessary in the first place anyway. Next up is Bane of Fist. We've buffed it from 4 turns to 5 turns. Eventually we might actually get an item that actually buffs it from 4 or 5 to like 6, 7 or 8, not really too sure, but for right now we have buffed Bane of Fist because also it's just not really worth using it. I mean, the only Loomian that uses it right now is Pyramid, and no one really uses Pyramid really, so just not really worth right now. And plus, it didn't really last long enough. 4 turns is barely nothing. You can't really do anything in 4 turns, so yeah. Right now, we've buffed it, so hopefully people can actually use it. Other than that, I guess we'll talk about Radiant Forecast. Radiant Forecast has been fixed. It is going to stay a light type now when you actually use it. Before it for some reason was like a typeless type or a null type. Like it wasn't a light type, so it could. I don't know, like it could hit plant types. It was a whole mess. Okay, we've changed it low. We've fixed it now, so it will remain a light type for all the time you use it. And we've also given it a buff as well. We've buffed it from 85 power to 110 because you have to like wait 2 or 3 turns before I actually hit something. So I mean, you're basically wasting a turn for 85 power. It's not really doing a lot. So we buffed it. Although with that also we are going to increase the energy from 38 to 44. And like I said, it's fixed. Although it has been changed a little bit as well. So if Valkyrie or Torpre are setting up Radiant Forecast, on the turn that they set it up, Eclipse and plant types won't absorb it straight away. In fact, if the Valkyrie is in front of Eclipse and you use Radiant Forecast, Eclipse won't absorb it straight away, but once the move finally hits the target, and if the Eclipse or a plant type is on the field, then they will absorb it on the point of impact rather than the turn you're setting it up. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, Radiant Forecast, I guess a pretty good buff right there. Other than that, we have Electro Burst, Ikazune's move. It's had its power buff from 75 to 85, and also it now hits adjacent foes. So if you're in like a 2v2 or doubles, it'll hit both opponents rather than just one. So pretty good buff there. Rapid Fire has been buffed, which is Raburn's move. Beforehand, it would just do it had a 5% chance to burn on every single Rapid Fire that hits. That's just basically been doubled to 10%. So every time that it hits a Rapid Fire, it will have a 10% chance to burn. And also, like, I think it uses 2 or 3 when you use it. So I mean, hey, that's a pretty solid burn chance right there. Other than that, though, the rest of them are mostly just like energy changes, which also, for example, Gust has had its accuracy buffed from 95 to 100s. Pester has had its energy buffed from 50 to 32, Wonder Herb has been buffed from 70 to 45 energy, Border Blast has had a nerf from 22 to 25 energy, Storm Summon, Zulong's move, has been buffed from 75 to 46 energy, Ancient Roar has been buffed from 70 to 50 energy, Geyser has been buffed from 50 to 40 energy, Spectral Burst has been buffed from 45 to 40 energy, and Disaunt Cord has been buffed from 45 to 40 energy as well. And for the last move we have is Jungle Jutsu. It's a buff and a nerf. It has been reduced in energy, so it now is 50 instead of 55, although it can no longer flinch. Yay! So yeah, also beforehand, Jungle Jutsu was 55 energy, 90 power, so like a pretty good move just in that in general. But on top of that, it had a chance to flinch and to crit. It can no longer flinch, and also the move is a little bit cheaper to make up for that also, because I mean, it kind of makes sense. So yeah, that being said, I think that is everything. I don't think I missed anything, so hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'm going to leave off here, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. And I can't wait to use Ragoon and Revenine, so I'll probably do those tomorrow. I'll probably go over Ragoon tomorrow, so yeah, I'll see you guys next time, okay?